I think we've had a bit of catch up, yeah, so we can start. We also have our guest speaker here already, so and for people that have been joining us for a while, you know that we don't like to keep people here for too long, so that we can hit the nail on the head and be on our way onto the next one. So welcome everybody. If you can still hear me, let me see some reactions so that I know that I'm not talking to myself. Can you guys still hear me? Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, Brenda, your hands is on. Brenda, okay, maybe that was a mistake. Okay, 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 okay. All right. Again, my name is Lizzie. Lizzie Downsy. Yes, I'm a designer. I'm a design manager. I'm a product designer, UI UX designer. So a few persons know me, and I'm glad to have few people that I'm just meeting here for the first time join our event. So this is not the first time that we do events. We have this year we've made it like a monthly thing to come together and enlighten one another. You know, in life we can't move, we can't work isolatedly. We can't work alone. It's good to have this enlightenment, knowledge sharing, gaining experience from each other in order to grow faster, right? Some people don't have the leverage of mentorship, but this event, this webinars is enough mentorship for some people to get them to where they want to get to. So, the purpose of this webinar is to eliminate the rift we have between designers and developers. Like, seriously, if you're a developer in the house, please let me know. Who is a developer here? Any developer? Who? Clinton. Hi, Clinton.
Hi,
Is it the Clinton I know or another Clinton that I don't know?
doubt you know me. You don't know
Okay.
me
Okay. So why do you people hate us? That's the question I want to ask you.
because
Why?
you put draw unimaginable things for us to develop.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the top of the list.
That's the top of the list. Okay. Who else? Who else has problem with us? People should open your mind now or forever remain silent. Who else? Who else want to talk? Oh, because now is the time for you to talk. After today, don't talk again. Oh God, like the purpose of this webinar is like to eliminate the rift. The rift is too much, and the thing that we all don't know is that we are actually made for each other, right? When God was creating designer, God had developers in mind. When God was creating developer too, God had designers in mind. Some of some of the best marriages, are designer developer. This is not a relationship webinar. I'm just trying to let you guys know that we actually made for each other, right? And we don't want we want to eradicate. Wait, who is using that sound? We want to eradicate the rifts between the two parties, right? Like it's not only affect us personally, it affects the product that we build together. I believe that if we have been made to work together on a project, we have to work collaboratively. Yeah, we have to work hand in hand. There should be no rift between us. I've had cases and experience, right? Because I do product management too. Yeah, I've had cases where I've had to, you know, mediate between a designer and developer, right? There's always issues here and there. And it's actually heartbreaking because, designers will come and say what I designed versus what I got. And developer will say we had designed their magic, just like Clinton said, that we designed magic for them. And they'll be like, if you can code, come and code it now. If you feel do and come and do them, all those stuffs like that. So we are here to eradicate that, and we have our guest speaker in the house. But before I bring her up, her name is Brenda. She has spent 5 years in this industry. If you've been attending our webinars before, you know that we don't bring guest speakers that don't know what they are doing to our events. We bring guest speakers that have experience, people that you can learn from, people that have gained experience. And she has had over 6 years of experience in the industry. She's majored in mobile application, although she writes other stacks like Kotlin, Java, and the likes. I think she would enlighten us on those ones more. But in summary, she has experience and we are going to be learning from her today. But before that, before we bring her on, I want to throw a few pointers out there. Yeah, I want to throw a few pointers out there. Like there are ways that we can go forward henceforth. If we have new designers or developers in the house, I'm going to be speaking from a designer point of view, right? Not only for newbies, not only for mid levels, yeah. Even for some of us that have spent a lot of years in the industry, we don't collaborate. I think collaboration is a soft skill that everybody needs to have, right? Can you guys still hear me? Thank you. So collaboration is a soft skill that everybody needs to have. Whether you're a designer or you're a developer, you have spent 50 years in the industry. If you don't collaborate, you give people problems, right? You give people a lot of problems. And one of the things that I would like to point out before we bring up our guest speaker is communication. Please, let's communicate. Let's learn to communicate. I'm going to be speaking from personal experience. When I want to start a project as a designer, after understanding the project, my next go-to person is the developer. Except except you are both the developer is both the stakeholder and the actual developer. Then I know that okay, we are doing it together. But if you are in a situation whereby the brief is separate, the developer is in a team, please reach out to them, talk to them, share your concept with them. I have this concept that the app will be flying like a bird, and share the concept with them, right? And then let them tell you that, oh, sorry, the app cannot fly like a bird because the app is not a bird, right? And then they'll give you technical constraints that you need to know because these guys, they are not magicians. The developers are not magicians. And some of us design, we make mistake of going to these unrealistic platforms like um, what's it called? What's that platform again? Why did I forget the name? Why did I forget the name of that platform where we used to go and check inspiration from? Eh? Somebody should remind me. Faith, what's the name of that platform?
Behance and
Be
dribble.
and what?
Dribble.
Dribble. I'm trying to remember. Bias and dribble. And then you bring those kind of unrealistic things to your developers, and then you guys will be crying that what I designed versus what I got and the likes. Like it's not healthy. there's there's the space for you to impress the audience, and there's also the space where you have to design realistically because you're designing for actual users. I think that's one thing that good designers need to learn. Okay, so reach out to your developer, talk to them, share your concept with them, let them understand what you're trying to do. Because when you share your concept with them, they'll share with you also the technical constraints that they might encounter or that the project might encounter with your concept. And then you guys can sync, you guys can collaborate, and compromise. If you need to still go with the concept, you will know. If you don't need to go with the concept, you will also know, you know sync with them. If you have samples of where you are getting the concept from, share it. One of the things I do is that I keep the link of my inspiration, where I get inspiration from. I keep their links so that by the time I'm creating this concept or these designs and I'm not able to describe or explain it with my mouth, all I need to do is just share them the link and say, okay, look at this, take a look at this, something similar to this. And that will explain it. Sometimes developer will tell you that this thing is not possible. There's no developer that can do it. I had that experience recently. I think last year. Developer was like, it's not possible. With this language, no, you can never do it. It's not possible. There's nobody that can do it. And I'm like, it is possible now. There's then I have to share links. Like look at it. If you need to study their code, inspect the design, inspect this website and see what they did. You understand? And that way we're able to move ahead. So that's we working together. If I didn't have a sample to show or a link to share, it's going to be something of we fighting and say it's not possible, it's not this, and then there's going to be problem here and there, and it's going to affect the project. You understand? So designer, please let's do better. Let's not always come online to shout what I designed versus what I got. When we ourselves we have not done our due diligence to ensure that we make work easy for a developer. Our work is not complete if the developer is not at peace. If the developer is avoiding your call and they are not picking your call, you have not done a good job. You have not done a good job. Because they should be able to call you and say, oh, there's something I noticed. I should be able to call them, right? So please, let's do better. Let's work together. Share milestones with them. Designers, if you work on milestones, I know a lot of us here work on sprints. Some work with milestones, some work with sprints. Before you hand over your sprint to and present your beautiful idea to the entire team and look like the hero, please meet with your developer. Don't let the developer be seeing that great concept the same time every other person are seeing it, and then they'll be putting hand on their head like this. I will scream and say, who is going to develop this? They should not be surprised like every other person. They should have knowledge of it ahead of time so that they know what to do. Right? Something about developers I admire the most is that once they know your concept, right, they go and do their research before you finish your work. They already know how they want to approach it because they'll go and make their own findings. At least the ones that have worked that knows what they are doing. And if you're a developer, you don't do that. You need to do better. Once they share concepts with you, go and start making your own research on how to go about it. You can even ask them, is there a place you saw this concept or this design? Let me share me the link. Let me see what is there. You understand? Another thing, I think lastly, before I bring our guest speaker, who is going to now elaborate more and shed light on this, is designers. You are not just a designer. Please, from now henceforth, you're also a quality assurance person. You're also a what? Quality assurance person. After you have communicated with them, shared your concept, understood the technical constraints, you guys have compromised, you know the approach to go, they know the approach to go, right? You are sharing milestones with them, you are carrying them along. After the whole work is done, right? Please do review. Tell them that once they are done, tell them to share you link. When you are done with this particular aspect, please share me your link to host it somewhere and share me the link so that I can also go through it. And please, designers, when we are going through it, let's not give destructive feedback. Let's not give destructive feedback. Let's work with these people. You know, go through the link, identify areas where the UI is not looking like the way you want it to look. Make a screenshot, put a very well explained description of what the problem is. If you want to do it over a call, do it over a call. If you want to do it via a document, share a document or document in a document. Whatever works for you, you and developer can agree on what works. Most times I do via call, and sometimes there might not be enough time to sit on a call and talk. Might just document it. You have to review, like you have to be their QA person. I think I've had relationship with developers to the extent that sometimes I don't even remember to tell them to share their link. They're the ones that just share their link and say, okay, listen, I've done this aspect. Take a look at it and let's know how to proceed. That is how it is meant to be. If we do this, yeah, we'll discover that our relationship will be better. We will not have problems. We will not hate each other. We are not supposed to hate each other. Our product are not supposed to suffer because of us. you know. So, without wasting much of our time, I would like to bring Brenda up on stage. She's going to share her screen and she's going to enlighten us further. Thank you so much for staying through to this level.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
I've
friend.
just been laughing. Busy. The whole designer developer issue is actually very, very interesting. Me personally, I thought it's a designer. Let me just drop it here. And we don't hate you. So don't think that developers hate designers or designers. No, no. We all have same goal of ensuring that we push out a quality product. So when a designer is expressing their pain, they are coming from, okay, this thing doesn't make sense design wise, like writing the code, it wouldn't translate to something that the user would like, but to you it's like a beautiful apple that you just want to eat, but to us doesn't make sense. So I hope that by the end of this presentation, both designer and developers will be happy and smiling. Yeah, and on that note, let me share my screen and I'll tell you a bit about myself. Okay, let me see. Okay, cool. Okay, Lizzie, can you see my screen? Just want to
Yes,
be
I
sure.
can.
All right, so my name is Brenda, and I'm a software engineer. I have over 6 years working experience. I build Android application basically, and I also dabble into backend development. So for backend, I write Java, Kotlin, and Golang. And on the mobile side, I do Android, native Android, either in Java or Kotlin, and I'm also a newbie in Flutter development. So that's like one of my goals for this year. I want to dive into cross-platform and also be a full stack. One thing about me, I'm very, very friendly and I smile a lot. I think you see me smiling most part of this presentation, and my smile can be contagious. So if you want to smile, feel free to smile. Yeah. Okay. So today we'll be talking about designer developer collabo. I like this topic. Uh, I think it's a song called Collabo by P Square or something. So yeah, so we are going to rub minds together, and this is going to be very, very, very interactive. So I might be throwing questions to the developers, and I might be throwing questions to designers. So please, if I say developer, answer. I've been taking note of the developers and the designers on this call. I know that Clinton already spoke, and there's a Faith developer designer. Yeah, so forgive me, I don't mean Faith. That's not your name. But I'm just going to be like, okay, designer, what do you think about this? Developer, what do you think about this? So I would appreciate if we are like responding when I ask questions. Okay, so now let's go to the icebreaker. So I have a simple question that, and I want both designer and developer to interact. So this question goes to designer. So let me see. Okay, let me just straight open. Yeah. So designers in the house, what do you expect from a developer in order for the UI you designed to come out as nice as you want it? Any designer, what do you expect from a developer in order for the UI that you designed to come out as nice as you want it? Okay, Faith, thank you very much. You can unmute and speak.
Okay, so as a designer, when I'm working with a developer, I'm expecting the developer to transform or translate my UI designs into usable code that actually look or closely match what is stated in the designs. And yeah, that's like the best, the first, the most important thing. Like, know what I designed versus what I got.
Okay. Okay, so you want your design to look exactly to be translated into code. Nice one. So you want to see like a product, like your design come alive, in other words. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so I don't know if this call is being recorded already, but yeah,
Yes,
easy.
yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I the next question is to the developers. Um, those of us that write code. Okay, so for you to develop a deliver a project or a product successfully, what do you expect from the designer? Hmm, let's see. Should I call names? This person didn't speak. I know there's a team. Someone, I don't know if he's still in the call. Developer team or developer Clinton or developer Isaac. I don't know. Someone. So the question is for you to deliver a successful product, what do you expect from the designer?
And there's developer Ekemini in the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm,
right. Yeah, plenty.
there are plenty.
Guys, don't fall my hand now. Who's gonna help me? Clinton.
Developers,
Team. Yes, team is team Timothy. Can't see all the participants. Okay. Someone's
Olapate,
hand is up. Okay. Ola Pate, please help us. Thank you. So, what do you expect from a designer when you are building a product? Can you please unmute? Speak if you want to speak. Or someone's hand is up. How
yes,
many hands are up? Mine. Okay.
just Ola.
Maybe it's a mistake.
Okay,
Ola, Ola Pate. Um, okay. What about Isaac? Please. Are you a designer or you are a developer? Please. This is meant to be very, very interactive. I would have told everybody to like name their name, like developer, caller. Okay, caller. Yeah. You said you're in between. So let's say you're taking the role of a developer. Um, so what would you expect from a designer when you're building a product? Or have you had to like liaise with a designer when you're working?
I'm actually an upcoming designer.
You're an upcoming. Oh, sorry, who spoke now? Is it Kola or Kola? I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. Okay, that's fine. I think some people dropped off the call, but that's fine. So let me speak on behalf of the developers, right? So what I expect from a designer is that you follow the design principles. When you're designing, for instance, when you're designing for mobile screens, you should take note of the fact that there are different mobiles like with different screen sizes. So like this is my phone, for instance. There can be a screen with a bigger size. There can be a screen this smaller and fat. There can be a screen this small, right? So when you're designing, I want you to put that at the back of your head that okay, I'm designing for different people. I'm designing for different screens. So you should take note of the screen sizes. You should take note of the resources, make it easily accessible. And then you should communicate your design thoughts to me as well as a developer. Like, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. So that when it doesn't make sense, I'll be like, oh, doesn't make sense right at the initial stage. So that would help when we are building the products. All right. So with that said, let's move on. I hope I spoke on behalf of the design, the developers. Well, okay. So today, I'll be taking you through this slide. So we are going to be talking about why collaboration matters, common challenges in designer developer collaboration, best practices for successful collaboration, collaboration in action, where we would be talking how to collaborate. So get ready for that, and then we'll talk a bit about the best tools to use for collaboration, and then I'll take questions. So in between, I might be trained questions like, hey, developers in the house, hey, designers, what do you think? So I just want everyone to like flow with me. All right. So now, um, we are talking about designer developer collaboration. I think I've gave a little bit insight about what I want to talk. So the essence of all of this is just so that designer, developer, our end goal is to build a tool. Build it can be a tool. It could be a product. Build a product that a user would use and they will be happy at the end of the day. So the essence of collaboration is to ensure that we build good products, user-friendly products, and without having frictions or misunderstanding. So that's the essence of collaboration. So why does collaboration matter? I mean, what's the essence of collaborating? Why can't I just write my own code? Why can't you just design your own design? And, so why do we all have to come together and work as one? Number one is to enhance user experience. I think designers understand user experience, like in layman's word, when user experience is like the whole walkthrough from when you log into the application till when you exit from the application. So that's every single step of the application. That's the user experience. So when we collaborate, it would actually ensure that designs are implemented just as it is written down in the product requirements design documents. So collaboration is very, very important because it will enhance the user experience. So when we collaborate between developers and designers, we would be able to achieve what the product manager or the product owner wants. For instance, let's say we want to build a simple application, a fitness application. So when we collaborate, whatever the designer has sketched down, maybe a low fidelity design or the design on Figma, when we bring it to life, like Faith said, so and the user is happy. Do you get? So that's the whole essence of collaboration. So it enhances user experience. So at the end of the day, user will be happy when the user logs into the application to the point where the user logs out of the application. So collaboration also saves time and reduces rework. So what that means is when we communicate, like I stated when I started, when I was answering for the developers, when we collaborate, when we have design meetings and all, it would actually save time. To save your time as a designer, so you won't have to go and redesign. For instance, let's say there's an issue with a button and you designed a square button, and according to the design principle that the company is going with, it's required that you use a round edge button, for instance. So instead of you just designing in your head, oh, square buttons make sense. If we have like design meetings and we collaborate, it will save your time and then it will save my own time as well. So it is very, very important that we collaborate. So I'm going to stay a bit on this slide. I'm not sure if uh, everyone can see this. Is this clear enough? So I have two screens here. So on your left is the same screen, just the normal login and sign up screen. And then I have like a more optimal screen design of that feature. So this is the basic introduction to an application. So after you launch the application, usually it's either you sign in or you log in. So if you look closely, um, I would call someone now. Is Faith still on this call? So what would you say is the difference between this design on the left and the design on the right? Any other designer on the call, please?
Okay, so Faith is here. The first thing I'm noticing is the padding and the spacing. They're quite different. Also, the alignment and the text and the copy has been like changed from what was on the left to what's on the right. So I feel from a designer point of view, the right image is way more um user appealing basically. Yeah, so that's it from my from my end.
Thank you very much. Let me call a designer. Um, Sorry, Michael. Can you speak? Are you a developer or a designer? I just wanted to throw like an insight, like from a developer perspective, what do you see when you look at both images?
Good afternoon. I'm a designer.
Oh, okay, sorry, sorry. All right, thank you.
Okay, you might see some
Again,
things that
me.
you might actually see some things that Faith didn't see. You can ask him also that he
Okay,
doesn't
okay,
see.
Michael, you can tell me. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Michael, so what do you see when you look at both images? Michael.
The image on the right just has placeholder. It doesn't have the label,
Okay.
unlike the
Is
image
that
on the
all you
left.
noticed? Mm-hmm. Is that all you noticed? Is there
Yeah, and coupled with what
difference?
the other person said, I can't remember her name. The same issue too.
Okay.
And the sign
All
up,
right.
is-
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and listen.
the login on the right, login looks like a clickable link. The login already have an account. The login or the sign up, it's different. Just to write on a text.
Nice,
Well,
nice.
that's what I can
Thank
say.
you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Okay, so I'm going to break it down from a developer's perspective. So first off, let me start from the text. The texts are totally different. Sorry, my hand clicked. The texts are totally different. So we have welcome back, and then there is hi, welcome back, and then there's an emoji. Fine. Going back to change my code is just a text, right? Doesn't make sense. It wouldn't cost me much. Fine. It's easy peasy. Then the edit text, in Android, we call it edit text. It could be called field in web design, and you can see that the placeholder is there, and then the password, there's also a placeholder there, and there's also remember me, right? So what remember me does, there's meant to be like a functionality that will be implemented so that when next you enter your email and passwords, it would remember literally that you've entered this, that this person has logged into this application, and then it pulls it from the database. And then, very importantly, there is login with Google. I was expecting, I think someone mentioned it though. So, login with Google is a different implementation, right? So for a developer, I would need to implement Google authentication for this. This Google authentication is going to be separate from the login authentication that usually I would do. And I think there's also a Facebook login. So that's a Facebook authentication. So that means I'll have to talk to Facebook API or Google API, for instance. And then Michael also mentioned the clickable links. For instance, you see the sign up is clickable. On the left, it wasn't clickable. Same thing with the sign up as well. Also, um, the buttons, the colors, they are different. So, for instance, let's say we started this project and the developer has moved past authentication. Probably he or she is already working on the home screen, and then the PM said, "Oh, at so on Slack, please kindly note that we want to make some changes, little changes um, in the authentication part of the project. So how long is it going to take you?" And me, I come here now and I'm looking at it, the way I'm breaking it down that, oh, I have to do Facebook authentication, I have to do Google authentication. And I tell you 4 days. And to the PM, you'll be like 4 days for just two buttons. You see where the problem is coming. Meanwhile, I need to go and read. Let's say I've not implemented, like, done any authentication with Facebook before. I have to go and read their documentation and understand, um, like what and what I have to do. But to the PM, oh, you're running, you're wasting time. The designer too, you are standing as a blocker to the designer. Oh, designer will be like, how far, so that I can move on from this. You know, you are my blocker. You are blocking me when you're giving stand up during your stand up meeting. You're giving updates. You know, so there will already be issue. And then okay, I'll not be like, okay, fine. Let me do it in 3 days. And then I'm not looking at it closely because now I'm implementing this script. And I'm seeing that, oh, look, oh, the blue on this side and the blue on this side is different. Wahala, designer. Sorry, I'm making this I'm being dramatic. Designer, um, what color codes did you use for the first design? And then you tell me, see something. And I'm like, it's different from this one, oh. So why did you change it and you did not tell me? So again, it goes back to involving like a developer in your design. Fine, let's say the PM even reached out to the designer first. Okay, make these changes. But in the Figma file, did you document that? Oh, please add so working on this. Note that the button color code has changed. Note that the font family has changed. Maybe it changed from, I'm not so good with font family. I really don't take note. Let's say it changed from Times New Roman. I think that was popular to everybody. Or which other popular font again? There are plenty. Let's say it changed from that to another font family, and you did not note it down. Meanwhile, in my head, PM just said, "Oh, just rewrite instead of welcome back. Change it to hi, welcome back with a hi emoji." You know, in my mind, I'm thinking implementation, not design here, and I'm noticing that the font family. Come on, on my own code base, I would need to download like the font library that I need to use to achieve this look. But to you, the designer, it feels like, oh, it's just a snap of finger. Come on, this one is fine. We should use it. But no, if you don't communicate that to me at the end of the day, when we launch it on Play Store or App Store, users will look at it. They won't even know. But you, the designer, will be like, CO, QA. How did this thing pass? You are supposed to fill this ticket. This font is different from what I used to design. You see, then wahala would start. And then you have to go back, open. So it's a lot. So this simple design, you can see how I've broken it down, like from the aspect of the developer and the designer. Tell me if developer and designer will not fight. Seriously. So please let us do better. So when we collaborate, we'll save time and we'll reduce rework. Like we won't have to overwrite code, or you won't have to go back and redesign again. So another thing is it will lead to more innovative solution. Now you invite me to your design meeting. I know that developers, we don't like meetings. Like I don't like meetings. I don't even like talking too much, except I really need to talk. So when you invite during the design phase, when you involve a developer, for instance, let's say you're designing a simple splash screen, and okay, let's say you're designing a simple splash screen, and then there's a logo, right? Or let's say on the welcome screen, let's say there's a logo somewhere, and me as a developer, I look at it and I'm like, this logo wouldn't like it wouldn't come out well in an Android device. And to you, it's just a logo. And I tell you that, oh, sorry, oh, like for Android, logos are meant to be in SVG. And you're like, oh, what's SVG? There's already back and forth. But because we are in a meeting, we've not started working on this thing. At least you'll be able to change it that, oh, okay, I've learned something. So Android follows this particular design principle, iOS follows this particular design principle. Okay, going forward, when I'm designing logos, I will design it to fit into Android OS and also design another one. I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying that's how it is. I would also consider, okay, iOS. So it's very important to involve like everybody working, including the QA, when working on a project. That okay, let's rub minds together. What do you think about this idea? What do you think about this user flow? Like from your own perspective, would this work design wise? And then it will help, it will help fasten with the project. So it also improves product viability. So when we collaborate as designers and developers, it will ensure that the user needs are actually met and they align with the product's responsiveness in case of screen sizes, like I demonstrated earlier, and performance wise. Because why we advise using SVGs for icons and logos is because it loads faster, so it's lightweight and people want things to load fast. I mean, network is bad generally in Nigeria. We all know that. So best practices suggest that you use SVGs when you're designing icons or some logos, yeah, as the case may be. So it would improve product viability. All right. So now let's talk about um, common challenges that designer and developers um, experience. So I'm going to throw this to the house. I'm just leaving it here on number one. So I don't want anybody to mention communication. That's why I started communication. So now, what other challenges do you think designer and developer face? Who am I going to call that has not spoken before? Damisola. Okay. Someone is okay, Lizzie. All right, go ahead. You raised your hand.
I want to speak on behalf of my fellow people.
Okay. After you, Damisola will speak. Okay, go ahead. Mhm.
Yes, I think, okay, so since you said we should not mention communication gaps again, so I'm just going to say that I think some of the things that causes challenges between us is that you people, you developers, you people used to think that we
So you're saying you people. Okay,
people
continue.
used to think that we just
You
go.
said designers saying so. Now it reached us now. You're saying you people.
You people used to
Okay,
think that
continue.
we go to our software and then we just draw lines. Like we just draw lines. And that thing used to annoy us. Am I speaking for us? Everybody, you people should back me up here. You people should back me up, oh. Eh?
Ah,
My
it's
fellow
like you want to
designers,
settle fight. So
my friend,
okay.
my see, keep fighting. Keep fighting. Wait, somebody said that we don't have respect. Eh?
Okay.
You developer, you people used to think that we just go to our
And no
file and
single
then we
respect.
just go and draw lines. I know some
Hmm.
people say it's not just to go and draw line on Figma and then bring it.
Well, but break it down like low level. Okay, low level language. Let me use that. Let's think about like what's it called?
H,
What's the
I catch you.
basic? What's the who is this? Who is H? Okay, what's the basic of basic? The least form of the I wanted to say development design now. Wireframes, right? That's what you guys call it.
Like
Chase wireframes,
sketching.
the least level, the low level of designing. What do you call it?
Yeah, you can call it a wireframe or a sketch.
Wireframes.
Yeah.
Nice one. Is it not lines? Is it not line? Is it not line?
See this one now.
Yes or no?
Ah, ah. It's not lines, so it's not lines. It's like you telling an
But
architect.
where?
It's like you telling
Okay.
an architect that will build an entire house. I came to show you the structure of the house and say these are just lines. Nah, they are not just lines.
Okay.
What we do
It's
is that
not
we
just
just
lines. Yeah.
present it
Mhm.
in the most simplest form, without colors, without distraction, for you to understand where we are going. And
Okay, but what's design? I want you to explain what design is like at that low level where there are no colors. I mean, it's just okay. Let me not use lines. It's basically just objects, right? Like
it's not
boxes, like shapes.
it's not only object, it's
I'm coming.
matter.
Is what?
It's not only object, it's matter.
Okay. But seriously, at the lowest level, okay, let's look at this is a design interface. Yeah, is a structure, basically like a skeleton. So this is a design interface that we are looking at now for this call. I don't know this. stuff is called. But we just have icons and letters, right? That's the lowest level. That's what I'm saying. That this is circle. This is a shape. This shape is called circle. So basically, at the least level of design is, I'm just saying, don't throw shade at us. Okay, I'll throw it back. Anyways, okay, so go ahead. You now start my
Okay,
question. Go
it
ahead.
is safe to say that they are made up of and shapes and lines and boxes,
Thank
right?
you. Developers get
They are
a
made
round of
up of it,
applause.
but they are not it. So like H,
Yeah, I get
this is the only
it.
time I'm going to support H because I don't even like him or she. I mean he or she already. Right? So like H has said, it is a structure. And for you to see it's a shim. And for you to see a structure, you have to see it in like in the barest minimum. Because if you are coming up with a concept, all right, and I for just pay me to build a house for you, and then I just go and build the house and bring the entire two-story building for you. And what if that's not what you like? You would have wasted money, right? So what I would do is that I'm going to bring the structure to you in the form of lines, shapes. Yeah, they're made up of that, but I'm bringing you the structure. I'm bringing you the layout. Yeah, so that you can see the best word to use for it is the layout and structure. So that you can, but how can you create the layout and structure? You create it with lines, shapes, and the lines. But that does not mean that a designer goes to their system and then they just create lines in 2 minutes and present to you. There's a lot of work that goes into it. My people, am I speaking for you? You people are not supporting
So
me here.
is
Thank
that
God.
is that the major challenge that you've had, like when
So I
collaborating? Is
think the
that
challenge
it?
is that developers think that you just go and just create lines and then you just bring it to them, of which that is not the
It's the
case.
line that is paying you. Who is that developer that called it line? For that person.
It's
Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to Damisola. Yeah. So what's one major um you can drop your comment if you can speak, that's fine. Or hey, would you like to unmute? Are you on the developer side or designer side? Okay. Of
okay.
course it's raising. Okay,
Michael,
Michael. All right, go ahead.
so who
Yeah.
do you want to have first, H or Michael? Okay, let's have H.
Let's
Let's
talk
have
to
H
H.
first. H first because as a
Okay,
customer voice. Like, I really want to hear Shim voice.
yes.
I want to hear Shim voice.
Hi
Okay, go
everyone,
ahead. Hey.
Hello, H.
my name is H, and
Nice
I
to meet
believe
you.
the issues developers and designers have is because I think many designers don't take the time to. I'm not expecting them to understand code, but I think they just don't take the time to like do some research on how these codes are being built or written. Because okay, first of all, if you don't understand it, you will not understand how to design it. So I've worked in a place where a designer just built something that flies everywhere. One thing is flying to this part of the screen, and you don't even understand if how this thing will be written in code. So if you are working as a team or working in a team, you need to really understand what is achievable at this point in time. I'm not now saying that okay, you probably have developers who don't know how to write code. No, I'm saying this flying thing you're doing, is it necessary for this app that we are building at this point in time? What value does it bring into this platform that we are building? It's not just about building things that fly. You build things that are meaningful. You just go about just designing. So I believe that those designers, the issue I've had with them in the past is that they don't take time to really want to understand how the things work from the code perspective. You just go about building and just designing. And you don't just go about saying, you people for designers. It's hard for software engineers. It's hard work. I'm not also downplaying your own work. I've seen designers work. In fact, one of my best friends is a designer. So I understand the thoughts that go into it, the attention. In fact, everything happens from the design perspective. But you don't just go about saying you people. It's hurtful. That's what I have to
It's
say.
hurtful. It's hurtful. Stop
Okay.
saying it, you people.
Okay.
Stop
Okay.
it. Okay, let's
Please, before we go to the next person, please, H, thank you for participating. So the you people was on a lighter note, okay? Yeah, it was on a lighter note. So we understand the reason for we are trying to bring us together. So we're not trying to create more rate. So it was on a lighter note, right? Just to express.
apologize.
So just to no,
Apologize.
I'm not apologizing, guy. Okay, I'm apologizing.
I'm not a guy. I'm not a guy. I'm a
All
babe.
right.
Thank
So it's
you.
just like express how somebody would normally say it. Yeah. So I'm not like calling developers you people or calling anybody you people. I'm just saying, and in context, when you call a designer to talk, or it will be something like, "Oh, you people don't do this. You people don't do that. You people do. You people that." Yeah. So that is just on a lighter mode. Okay. So uh there's no rift here. Okay. So let's move on.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
Let's move on to Michael, and
Yeah.
then after Michael, I think Adetunji raised this hand also. We are coming to Damisola. Don't worry, we'll get it that. Um, let's express. I think more developers they want to express themselves. So, this is Adetunji. Yeah. All right. But yeah,
So
yeah.
good
Fire,
evening
fire.
once again.
Give me
I
please.
think another issue has to be
Sorry,
skill
introduce
issue.
yourself. Developer or designer?
Wait, so
I'm a
is
designer.
Edge okay? Edge is a developer.
I
Okay,
think
designer. Go ahead.
one issue is skill issue because I feel that you can't express yourself more than the skill you possess, and this is both for designers and developers. So if you don't really know how to translate a design, you won't be able to develop it that much. And one problem I've had with some designers is attention to details. They didn't focus on the details of the design. And it is not that it wasn't doable, it was doable, but they just didn't pay attention to the details. And when some details are not attended to, it doesn't come out well. So that's what I want to say.
Okay, so who doesn't pay attention? Is it the designers you're referring to or the developers?
I mean, I am expressing myself like the developers, like the issues I've had with some developers is
Okay,
attention to details. They didn't pay attention to the details
details.
of the design.
Okay, thank
Thank you
you.
so much. It's so refreshing that a designer is saying some designers don't pay attention to detail because if you from a developer, Lizzie will say, we people. Okay.
No, wait though. He said
Anyways, let's move
developers. He
on.
said developers don't pay attention to the
I
details.
said developers didn't.
Developers, so don't get too
Go ahead,
excited.
Joe.
Don't be too
All right,
excited.
Adetunji. Nice one. That's good. It's 1-0. Adetunji, you can go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Adetunji, right, a designer. So,
Okay.
for me, right, what I would just say is that a designer don't just go to the Figma file and just design whatever they want to design. So there's always a reason behind the design, right? It could be from their user research. It could be because of the users that they are trying to design for, right? That's why they have those flying things that developers always think is impossible to actually develop, right? And I think this also boils down to communication, right? So if your company is trying to develop something, and then the designer is designing something that is flying up and down and all of those things, I think it boils down to communication, where you have to communicate with your designer that, oh, okay, I don't think we have the technical capacity to do this, right? So you can always understand, and then how will I put it, bring your design down a little bit, right, to fit the technical capacity of the company. Basically, that's my thoughts.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much. Um, who is last? Damisola, yeah. So sorry. Um, so what do you want to say? What's your own pain points? Are you a designer or developer? Damisola.
Yeah, good evening. I'm actually a developer. I'm a Flutter
Thank
developer.
you.
Yay.
Thank you. Make sure you express this pain that we're feeling.
Though I've not really face a challenge with a designer like that, but
Okay,
I
let's
think
start.
there is always a kind of, let's say, delay from them, or they think of maybe we can do magic with their design. There are some complex design that I would think if not that someone is at least a little bit understand the design, that's when you'll be able to implement it. And also there are some, let me say, there are some background images that you feel like maybe they should have saved beside the what's it, the file, but at times you will not be able to import the images, and it's kind of difficult as for me to import such image. So I think that they should always consider a developer to, so that in terms of images, to always, I mean, if you want to import any image, it should be easy for us to do. But I didn't really face any difficulty in what I've been doing so far, Sha.
Hey, yeah,
Let's
we're
clap for the
happy.
designer on your team. Them try, them try. Anyways, like what she said, really, when designers are flying from here to Mars and coming back, they are still humans, like building this thing. So I know that there's GPT. That's another day. I think the last speaker, the last event held last month was about using AI for design, something like that. But still, I beg, people should consider that we are humans. Maybe if what they say want to take our job, if they can take our job, people should design so that the computer will tell you, but this is impossible. Anyway, so if other people have, if you have contribution like something that you experience at the workplace when you're collaborating with developers, collaborating with designers, please you can drop it in the comment section as we go on. I think Lizzie wants to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually want to say something. So I just want to like add a comment to thank you guys for participating. Yeah, it's actually very engaging. So I think there were some pointers I mentioned before some of us joined when I was talking from a designer perspective, what we should do to make work easier. And when Damisola spoke, she said there are some things that they cannot export, you know. And one of the things I mentioned at the beginning of this stuff was that we should like communicate so well with our developers. I said that if their work is not easy, your work is not done, right? I mentioned that they are not magicians. Yeah, so we don't. So I'm talking to my fellow designers now. The developers are not magicians. You don't expect them to create a flying app for you or a crawling website, you know, or whatever imagination that we have in our head. So there's something that I used to do. Yeah, I ensure that if there are some things that we are not able to get, that developers are not able to get, please help them bring it out. In my Figma file, there's always a section where I put for developers, right? Because I don't know the kind of technicalities or challenge in my experience when they're trying to export all of this files. So I try as much as possible, excuse me, to put some of these vectors out for them. Yeah. And please, when we sign off to developers, don't let us always disappear like it's now their problem. Yeah. It's our problem together. Nothing will cost you if you check up on them. Hey, hi, how is it going? I've been able to like reach this particular milestone. Are you done with this particular milestone? What challenges do you have? Yeah. There are sometimes if I know that I will not be available in a particular period of time, I call my developers.
Ṣé tí màá jẹ tí wàá ní I'm not
Please,
going to.
please mute. So I call my developers. I'm like, okay, for so and so period, you might try to reach me and not be able to reach me. Can you quickly go through and let me know if there's anything that you need from me before you're not able to reach me? You understand? So for if their work is not easy to do, our work is not done. Designers, our work is not done. This is not a first position. You know, when we're children, we used to strive to carry first position. This is not the case here. We are working together. If that website did not come out as nice, or that app does not come out as nice, it's not only their fault, it's your fault too, because you did not do anything to enhance their job. So please, if we are in the that category of people where we just dump links on developers and then we just disappear, let's not do that again. Please, they are human beings and we are working together.
Thank you.
Let's reach out to
We are
them.
human beings.
Yes, let's reach
Yes.
out to them. Ask what they are going through. Some developers, the design that you design that is like flying bird. Some developers have not slept. They have not slept in 3 days trying to figure it out. And then you have gone out, you have hung out with the girls, hung out with the boys, like you have even moved on to the next project, and somebody has not slept in 3 days because of one animation that you did. I'm not saying don't do animation. I'm saying that, like I said at the beginning, before some of us, I'm just trying to brush up on the things that we have said before we proceed. That communicate your concept to your developer. Understand the tech. H was saying something that some of you don't understand. Developers are not expecting you to know how to code, but understand the technicalities behind this code. Yeah, understand the technicalities. Reach out to them and explain your concept to them. They will tell you where there are technical challenges, where there are risky UIs. Some of them call it risky UI. A developer of mine called some elements risky UI to me recently. So when I gave him the first draft, it was like we need to have a review. We have some risky UI on this UI. And what he meant there was like there's going to be a problem if we continue this way. So we have to, compromise, work together. And then we're like, okay, let's go for a review. And then we did a review, understood what the problem was. And then we move forward with a solution. That is collaboration. But some designers don't like review. They don't like to get feedback. Please, as a designer, like I said before, you're not only a designer, you're also a QA person. And let's be our hearts be opened to feedback. Let our hearts be open to feedback. This time around now, I'm talking to my people. I'm not saying you people again because I'm serious now. I'm not playing. I'm not smiling. Sef. Can you see me smiling? No, I'm not smiling now. Yeah. So please, over to you, Brenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel good that you are doing all this appeal to designers because really it's not easy implementing those your flying designs to some magical world that has not even existed ever. Anyway, so let's move forward. Thank you so much to everyone that has contributed. So, for those just joining, I noticed some people just joined. We're talking about designer developer collabo, and currently we are discussing about common challenges in designer developer collaboration. So, the first thing here is communication gap, and Lizzie has overemphasized about that. So, when there's lack of clarity in design, lack of clarity in the design document, lack of clarity in the Figma design itself, lack of clarity in the technical requirements, it could cause problems, serious problem because we'll just be throwing stones at each other using our words and all that. So please, communication is very, very important. Another common issue is inconsistent implementation of designs. Yeah, this one. So I like the fact that one of the speakers, someone that contributed, mentioned that is important. I think it was Michael. That is important that we understand, or is it me? One of them, that we understand the technicality um, about the feature that you're designing. For instance, like the first design, the example design about authentication, for instance, understand it very well. So when it comes to designs, you guys usually use Pixel and the rest. For mobile, we use we call it we use dots per inches. That's for Android, and that's what we usually use when we are noting the size for like buttons, like um, like whatever design you want to put on the screen, the frame, for instance, the width, the height, we use dots per inches. And then for text, we use something called SP. It's called Scale Independent Pixel. So so for instance, if I use a DPI for a text and instead of an SP, it wouldn't fly, like it wouldn't translate very well on the screen. And there are some important things like when designing texts, like there are some standard principles. So as a designer, you should understand when you're designing for mobile, like either Android or iOS, know about the design principle for the particular operating system that you're designing for. For Android, for instance, like the standard text size for a title is 14 SP. So if you design something on your Figma and it's above this, I would flag it as a developer and be like, hey, this thing is going to be too large, especially for smaller devices. Because when we are building applications or any mobile application, we usually do backward compatibility. So on Android, there is Target SDK, and then there's minimum SDK. Minimum SDK is like the least Android application that this feature would support, and Target is like, oh, the highest Android version that it will support. So we are usually concerned about backward compatibility when we are building Android applications, for instance. So when you are designing, you need to take that into um, like your designs. So this is a big issue, like I said, when you're having consistent implementation of designs. Like you don't take into consideration the pixel, you don't take into consideration performance issues. It would actually cause when you're implementing it. Another issue is okay, sorry. Another issue is difference in workflow. If you have questions, you could just drop it on chat just in case. A lot of times I'm actually like rushing through. So another issue is difference in workflows and tools. Yeah, we know that designers use different design tools. Some use Figma, some use Sketch, some use Adobe XD, and we use different code editors. So for instance, I know Figma, then they used to have this developer feature where, for instance, if you design a text field or what we call edit text, if you design a text field, I could click on the developer mode and I could get the exact XML code for that. I'll just copy and paste it in my Android Studio and then make it um, be in line with standard design I'm using for that particular screen. For instance, I could be using a relative layout, I could be using a linear layout, I could be using um, any kind of layouts depending on that particular screen. So it's important that when you're designing, know that okay, oh, that we too, we are using a tool that is different from what you are using, and there could be like some differences when we try to translate your design into code. So we should understand that part as well. Another thing is late involvement of developers. So if you don't involve a developer in the early stage of design, the design meetings, if you don't involve us, you might miss out some things. So Michael was saying, pay attention to details, Abby. Fine. Involve us, involve us early so that we'll note all these simple details and then we'll brainstorm and we'll come to like an agreement. Okay, so now let's talk about best practices. I think we've all contributed so well with, like Michael mentioned, that we should pay attention to details, and everybody has emphasized the importance of communication and understanding also. So one of the best practices here is foster open communication. Like I said, involve us early in the design phase. That okay, see what we are trying to achieve, see the kind of feature we are planning to design. If possible, you could share even the low fidelity designs with us. I mean, the ones that we used to say is just line. Share those ones with us. Let us see it before it looks beautiful, so that we'll have at the back of our head what we are trying to implement we too might still need those low fidelity designs to get the algorithm to achieve what we need to achieve. So it's very important to involve developers. Another best practice is use developer friendly design tools. I mean, everybody uses Figma. I'm sure everyone here knows about Figma. I don't know any developer designer. Have you used Zeppelin? I've used Zeppelin once,
Yes.
and I've used Efficient. Okay, yeah. So just use friendly tools that we could easily, like Lizzie was saying on Figma, she will be like, oh, not for developers. So using such tools that developers can easily like understand or translate to code would actually help. Is also a recommended best practice. Another best practice is automate and streamline workflows. Like make use of real-time collaboration tools like Slack, Jira, Trello, and the likes of that. Whatever you use at your company, just ensure that. And then, if you don't even go to Slack, because I don't look, people don't like Slack notification sounds.
Yes. It gives
So
me,
you could.
yes, it's true.
It's not only you. It's not only you.
It gives me heart
Yeah.
palpitation.
So
Like, I don't know. I
yeah,
don't like it.
I hate notifications. I really have notifications. My Slack. I can't remember when last I had that Slack tone on my phone. Like it's not me, not for me. Anyway, so you could be like, okay, can we have a call when you're less busy? It could be weekend. If you could, just use tools for collaboration. I mean, nobody's going to kill you. We're all working towards the end goal of building something great that everybody would use and be like, oh yeah, I'm the one that built that. I'm the one that designed that. At the end of the day, everybody will take their accolades. And another best practice is feedback. So usually when I was working at OK, one thing that our design team usually do is that they do sort of like market research. So they go to like markets, people, they go to our agents that use the POS, and then they'll be like, oh, what's this? How do you enjoy the app? Like, what's your user experience like from the login? What are the things you don't like? So they do those surveys, and then they come back to the office. They bring it to the product team, product and engineering team, and then they're like, okay. So you guys are complaining about this login experience, for instance. Why do we have to keep every time that a user logs in, you always let them enter your password? Why can't you? I'm just giving that as an example. Of course, there is non-disclosure in it. So I'm just using that as an example. So I'll be like, okay, so how do we improve this experience so that the users will be happy? And then they could do a simple survey. Taking part in several surveys at OP. For instance, one survey that they did is a team. I don't know if everyone uses OP. So I'm not preaching the product, and I don't work there anymore. So when they wanted to do the black team at OK, they did a survey. They did this. They shared it to different users. That, okay, what do you think about the experience? So they take all those back before they implement the product, and they involve the developers as well. Okay, what do you think about this? And sometimes we'll be like, this thing wouldn't fly. This icon doesn't make sense. From user perspective, they won't understand what this icon means. So feedback is very, very important. So at the place of work, you could talk to the head of the designer. Oh, before you release a feature, please do some basic survey. I mean, go to the streets, ask people, what do you think about this? Take it back to the office, and then discuss it with the engineering team, and build something greater also. Okay, so now we are going to do a little bit of practice. We don't have a lot of time, but I'm just gonna run through this. So this is meant to be like a simple workflow that we would brainstorm together. So uh, usually the first stage in building any application is the idea stage, right? And wireframing, the low fidelity design. So it's at this stage that you would do all those sketch and whatever you do, and then it's important, like I said, to involve a developer at every stage. So Because at the end, a developer is already thinking about it, already about how to implement the feature, even before the design looks beautiful. So when at this stage of idea and wireframing, you have low fidelity design, the developers can provide like useful feedback and be like, oh, this thing will be technically feasible, this thing is not feasible, this design will not fly, it's flying to Mars, not fly here on X. So involve designers in that phase. The next phase is high fidelity design. So now the design is looking more beautiful. And then prototyping. I know that there are some design tools that you could do prototype. I know InVision has that. I don't know about Figma. I know everything. You're turning everything to paid feature of Figma. So there are some design tools that you could do a prototype. So you could just play whole workflow of how the app should look like on your design tool. So yeah, at least a developer would understand better because it has more visuals. So a developer will be able to contribute more, and then designers can take back the feedback and then make correction and all that. The next stage is handing off the design document. So now we have agreed on the design. So what next? The next thing is to hand over that, okay, oh, we are done with our own part. Over to you developers, implement. So this is implementation stage. But at that point, like Damisola said, at least let us have access to these assets, the icons, let them be downloadable, the animations, put a note like this is said, oh, this is for developers notes. You get. So at this phase, we need everything that would help us, implement this feature or this design or bring it to, life. And the next stage is development and testing. Now, the developer is implementing, and after implementation, you pass it to QA and you have a final product. So at this phase, this is where the designer would not see, oh, for the first time, oh, this is my design. Now I can touch it, I can interact with it. So a designer can still look at it and be like, this color shade doesn't look like, oh, and be like, okay, developer, are you sure you used, it's at this phase you actually interact for the first time with your design being alive, like being birthed and all. So this is very important. So you also need to carry the designer like along. So it's not just the QA you involved in the this development and testing, also involve the designer. Very, very important. So include them to your final meetings and all that. And then the final stage is user testing. Now you've launched the Play Store, you've launched the App Store. Um, Still, you need the designers and developers in this stage, okay, to get those constructive feedback from users. When users launch your app for the first time, oh, what's the feeling like? What's the flow? Did they drop like reviews? People think that when they drop review on Play Store, App Store, is the business of the PM or product owner. No, it involves you. You that went to push app to Play Store, you to go back there and go and check that, okay, what are people saying about this new feature, about transfer, about selfie, whatever the app is about. Oh, yeah, you building a fitness app. What are people saying? You too as a developer, go there. It might concern you. It might be a design issue. You too as a designer, go to Play Store, go to App Store, go and check what's this person saying. So this is a period of taking back feedback, and then you could go back to the drawing board again. You could say, oh, this feature users are not really interacting with it. We should take it out. Depends. And then, yeah, you could, you know, take your accolades and all that if it's all good. So that's like an example of how workflows should be, how we should collaborate and involve every member of the team. So now, these are just a display of several tools we could use for collaboration. There's Adobe XD, there's Figma, Jira, Zeppelin is there, there's Slack, Sketch, Notion. Notion, you could use that for your documentation. Very important. You use that as your design, for your design documentation as well. And I have a few resources here on material design and some ideas. I know you guys have where you go to get your ideas from, I mean the designers, but sometimes it would be nice to just go through the standard design principles for each of the operating system that you are designing for. So at this junction, I would take questions if you have any Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brenda.
Anybody questions for me?
Thank you, Brenda. Who has questions for Brenda? Question, question. Any question? Okay. I think we don't have questions. Yeah, I want to assume that we don't have questions. That we've all like agreed. Okay, Michael, shoot, please.
Don't shoot
I
me. Oh.
I wanted to ask if there are principles guiding handing off designs to developers. Like, are there like kind of specifications that has to be in place for me to hand off a design to a developer?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So there is no like specification or certain rules. So handing off is that you are done with your designs. Like your designs are like on the final stage on Figma, because I've seen some Figma designs where they'll be like design phase one, design phase two. Like this is the final phase. So you are done. So at that phase, it is important that the developer has access to the resources, for instance, the icons. I should be able to, when I click on a button, I should be able to see the color code, because I would need the color code when I'm implementing that button, for instance. And then if there are special like fonts, maybe using a particular font, it should also be written there that okay, oh, the fonts used for this is so font family, for instance. Or you could have a small design documentation in Notion or whatever you want to use. It could even be in Google Doc. You could have a small design document that okay, so for this authentication feature, for instance, okay, this is what I used, this is the color for the buttons, this is the text size for all titles, this is the text size for all subtitles like subheadings, this is the the width of the button, this is the length of the button, stuff like that. Just breaking down so that when I look at it, I'll be like, oh, okay. I'm taking note of those numbers and I'm implementing it. Yeah. So just make it, easier for us to understand what we're working, so that I will not be in your DM up and down. Say, come and explain this your design. So explain it to me in a proper form. If you could put a note in your Figma, or you could do a Google Doc or Notion, fine, that's perfect. Yeah. Hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I would like to add to Brenda's response. So, a few things that you can do is annotate in your design. Right, there's something I forgot to mention at the beginning of this webinar, is that this designer developer collaboration is going to be a series. Yeah, and this is the first part. The second part, we are going to dive into design system, and then the third part, we are going to be talking about handing off. It was the question you asked that made me remember that I didn't mention it at the beginning. So this is the first series. The second one, maybe next month, and then the handing off the following month. Yeah. But a few things that you can do in order to ensure a seamless handing off is like adding annotations to your design and comments. Yeah. I think Figma has made it easy for us with the Figma developer dev mode. So if you have access to dev mode, you can annotate in your design and add comments where necessary. Another thing you can do is like let your developer know the design system that you are using to work. So instead of you like listing out font this, font that, yeah, you already have a design system that you work with. Your fonts family, your font sizes, like Brenda mentioned, are already documented in the file where they can easily access it. The color codes and the likes are there. And if you are designing with variables or you are designing with normal style guide, they are saved on the file, so that when they are inspecting and they are checking the documentation you provided, both of them tally. So that way they will know that even you that created the design, that you know what you're doing. Yeah. And should there be an instance where they see something that is different, They'll know that okay. In fact, I think the first thing they will do is to go and check where else did we have this difference? Where else did we have this color difference? They'll check. If they did not see it anywhere, they'll probably reach out to you and say, I noticed that this color we didn't use anywhere else again, only in this part. Is that intentional or is that a mistake? You understand? Because they're already used to one thing you need to know is that before developers start work, they build their libraries from what you have given to them. They build the same way when you want to start a project and then you create your design system, you write your typography, you document your typography, your colors. They do the same too on their own. They create their library so that it's not every time they see #CCC that they'll be typing #CCC. They already have their library. So when they see that color, they know where to call it from and continue with their work. Yeah, so please let's annotate. If there's anything that you need them to take care of or be aware of, you annotate and add comment to it. Because Brenda mentioned something that maybe the PM came and said, let's change something. And then designer went ahead to go and change it. The developer might not know what changed in the design if you don't like draw their attention to it. Yeah. So let's annotate, let's add comments, let's document and let them know the design system that you're using. If you are creating your own design system from scratch, let them know how to access it, where to access it from. If you're using a popular design system like Material, Tailwind, just let them know. A lot of developers are so used to Material design system that they know it like the back of their hand. So when you tell them that these projects we are using Material design system, they don't have problem with it because they just go with right, Brenda. Am I not saying right?
Yes, you are very,
Mhm.
very correct.
Some
Yes.
know Tailwind at like the back of their hand. Yeah. So when you tell them that you're using Tailwind design system, the button, the color, the corner radius, the line, the forms, they already know exactly what it will look like. So you don't even have problem with it because they know okay, you are using but if you're not using the popular ones and you're creating yours, you just need to document it in a way where when they're building their libraries, they know like where to access it from. And should you have anything, the developers do something important. There's this apostrophe and important if you don't want anything to override. Am I right? So if there's anything that they don't want to override, they'll let it happen. You understand? So handing off is very handing off in a very good way helps the developers work to be very easy. So the specification you need is not like so far fetched. You just need to comment, annotate on the design, find a way to there's a video on YouTube, maybe I'm going to share it, of a lady that shared how she annotates before handing off. Yeah, annotate in a very neat and organized manner where the developers knows. In fact, when in your Figma file, structure your designs in such a way that developer can follow. You can section your authentication screens, section your onboarding screens, section your profile screens or homes. You don't know, just section them so that when they are looking for something, they can easily find them by just at a glance. They know that in this section we have authentication. So if they're looking for forgot password, they know the screen, they know how to find it within that section. You understand? But there are some Figma files that some of us designers create that is too disorganized. That when a developer is looking for common forgot password screen, they can spend 30 minutes looking for it on the file. That should not be the case. So let's structure our work in a very organized manner. If we have access to Figma dev mode, let the developers know that they have access to dev mode so that their work can be even much easier. Let's structure the work. If anything change in the design along the way, maybe PM or brief or scope change or something, let developer know what changed. And I think if we can do that in a very structured and organized manner, I think both parties will be fine. I hope I didn't talk too much. I feel like I talked too much. So,
No, no,
Michael,
no.
did you
That's
get
fine.
that?
Yeah, I got you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Any other question? Any other question? I would like to point out that I don't usually have issues with developers. I don't usually have issues with developers. And the reason
It's
is,
fine.
I think maybe reason would be that maybe the first place that landed my first UI role as a junior, as a junior designer at that time, there was a structure where developers and designers come together to brainstorm. So I built that culture even after I left that place. I've built that structure. I think the only time I had what I designed versus what I got was the first side gig that I had. And after the design, it was looking so nice. Of course, our designs are always looking nice. And then it was time for a developer to show me, and I saw, I could not recognize the app. I'm like, is it the same app? Do you get? And that was when I understood that there's problem between designers and developers. You understand? And then I started seeing on Twitter people, the memes about designers and developers and the likes. And then, but because of the culture I created, there was a way to, you know, bridge that gap, reach out to developer, do some QA, quality assurance work, made screenshots, like this is what design is, this is what it should look like, this is what you did, this is the things that changed, the background is not the same, the border radius is not, the colors are different, that. And I think that was the only time that I actually ever had issues with developers. Every other time that I've worked with developers, sometimes when they're showing me the UI, their own, I used to think it's my own because they always look very, very similar, like very, very okay. So if you work with developer hand in hand closely, you will not have issues with them. They are not trying to frustrate you. You are not trying to frustrate them. The only missing gap is that there is no collaboration and there's no communication. And sometimes we designers we don't understand the scope of their work. Yeah, and they also sometimes they don't pay attention. Like what somebody mentioned, is it who said it? There was a guy that mentioned paying attention to details. Some developers they have this opinion that I don't care about design, I just care about the functionality. Let it just function. Yes, we know that we want it to function, but please take a moment to care about the design as well. Because if the design is visually appealing, yeah, the users would come. And then by the time they now find it functional, they'll stay. But if it is not appealing at first, they won't find out. They won't get the chance to find out that it is functional. You understand? Something has to bring them in first, which is the appealing UI, and then they will now enjoy it because you developer, you have made sure that this is functional and smooth for them to enjoy. So developers should please take time to care about the design. If they take time to care about the design, they'll pay attention to the details. So that's all from me.
Thank you so much. We take time to care about design going forward. I'm sure my fellow developers on the call have heard that. Yeah, I think it's just a thing that we always think about logic and getting things. I think so. Every developer lives by this principle of making things work first before you make it beautiful. So, and then when we make it work, we forget to make it beautiful. So, but yeah, going forward, we'll do our best. Yeah, and I've not had issue with designer too. It's only when designer not design according to material design. Yeah, that's where we have issues. But really, in terms of reproducing designs, I've not really had issues. Yeah, so same here. Right. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions? Just
All
yeah.
right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you for taking your time to do this with us. Thank you for everyone that attended. Like I mentioned, this is a series. This is the first part. So please stay in the group. We're going to create the next registrations for the next people to join us. So every one of us that are currently on the group, so we don't need to register again. We just to stay on the group, and then we'll send the link. I think that will be next month. So we have a speaker already, and guess what? He's also a developer, and he wants to show us what design system looks like on their hand. right? So our next series on designer and developer is going to be on design system, and then after that, the next one was going to be handing off. Yeah, so please stay in the group and stay with us, and we are going to get this right. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Damisola. Thank you, Kola. Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. Uh, see you. See you in the next one.